Hello and welcome to a financial review briefing of Remedy Entertainment. It's yet another sunny day here in Espoo, Finland, where we are broadcasting live from the Remedy studio with our financial results of the first half year of 2019. My name is Lauri Haavista. I'm the Investor Relations Manager here at Remedy. I'm joined by our Director of this bureau, Remedy CEO Tero Vieratala.
Good morning, everyone.
And the Chief who has finance under control, our CFO Terhi Kauppi.
Good morning.
Good morning to you both. Let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, Tero will go through the main events of the past 6 months. Then Terhi will continue with a financial review. And finally, Tero will wrap things up and give an outlook for the rest of the year. After the presentation, we'll also have time for some questions. You can send them on Twitter at RemedyIR, on the Twitch chat of this webcast, or as a regular email to ir@remedygames.com. But now I'll hand it over to you, Tero. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lauri. So, the review of first half of 2019. If we summarize it simply, we can say that we are happy how the first half of 2019 has gone. We continue to invest in our game projects, and the projects, they proceeded according to our plans. And at the same time, it's good to bear in mind that during this period there were no new product launches. And despite of all this, our revenue was 13.8 million euros, which compared to first half of 2018 grew quite significantly, almost 50%. Our EBIT was 1.5 million euros, representing over 10% of our revenue. During this period, we started to capitalize our product development costs on new projects, and this had a positive effect on our EBIT. And also, it's good to note that we had one-time royalty income of 2.5 million euro from previously released game, and this naturally also benefited our EBIT. In relation to this deal, we also got the publishing rights back for Alan Wake. Then when we look at the game projects that are ongoing, Control is in the final stage of development, and it has proceeded well and will launch on August 27th, 2019 on all the 3 major gaming platforms for us, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. It's also good to emphasize and remind all the listeners that Control is an IP owned by Remedy, and the revenue comes from development payments from our publishing partner 505 Games, and then once the game launches, we get share of the game sales revenues. At the end phase of this development, we have been mainly balancing and fine-tuning, making the last small developments on the game on all the different platforms, but also preparing already for the post-launch support activities. And these activities then also include the downloadable content packs that will be released later after the release of the main game. Marketing of Control is handled by its publisher 505 Games, and 505 has closed deals with selective partners that will give Control extra marketing support. As an example, Control will receive quite significant visibility on PlayStation and from the Epic Marketing Store, additionally also from the graphics hardware company Nvidia. And overall, how the marketing has gone, we can say that Control has gotten good exposure, for example in key industry events such as GDC and E3, where the game received a lot of nominations and awards, in fact including also the Best Game of the Show award from GameSpot. Naturally, a number of other marketing activities have been ongoing, and the final big marketing push is now on, as we are heading towards the launch of the game on August 27th. Then when we look at the other big project that we have ongoing, Crossfire, Our collaboration with Smilegate and development of the Crossfire project has continued according to our plans. The first Crossfire game project was already finalized almost a year ago, and right after that, last October, we continued the cooperation with the new project, and that project is currently in full production mode. With the Smilegate collaboration on Crossfire, our revenues are based on the development payments that we get, and then once the game launches, on the potential royalties that will depend on the success of the game. Crossfire overall is owned by Smilegate, and due to this, Smilegate is responsible for all the distribution, marketing, and communications. During this period, when we look at the first half of 2019, Smilegate also announced a closed beta phase in China for a remaster of the original Crossfire game titled Crossfire HD, and this Crossfire HD will also include the single-player campaign that we have developed. Additionally, in summer at E3 media briefing, Smilegate together with Microsoft announced that they are bringing Crossfire to Xbox One. Crossfire X will be the first Crossfire game ever to be released on a console platform, and it is now planned to launch in 2020. And this console version will also include a single-player campaign developed by us. In addition to these two big games projects that have been in the full production mode, we also have two other game projects in development. We have so far revealed very little on the third unannounced project, but that project is steadily proceeding according to the plans that we have. Vanguard, on the other hand, on that we have told that the aim is to create a long-lasting service-based multiplayer game, which will at the same time utilize some of the Remedy's unique strengths. Both of these projects, they have progressed further with small early phase development teams. The focus so far in both of these projects has been on the game design, starting the development in some areas in which the plans and designs are already clear enough, and then we have been prototyping the new and still uncertain areas in these projects and gradually building the teams further with both internal moves and selected recruitment outside of the company. Early negotiations in relation to these two projects with potential business partners, they have started, but we are now in a financially strong position, and according to our new strategy, we want to retain a stronger business control of our games, so we are definitely not in a hurry to sign any new business partnerships for our new games. In addition to these four game projects that we have the Northlight technology team, which is focused on developing the underlying game engine and game development tools. And in that respect, the developments have continued as we have been planning, and currently the Northlight team is 40 people. When we look at more broadly our people, we are now 220 full-time employees, or we were 220 employees at the end of the period. And when we have a snapshot at our total headcount, taking into account also part-time employees, we at the moment have 236 people. And in our industry, the gaming industry is growing all the time. The competition for talent is tough. We have grown our employee count by 34%, and we have been able to keep the high quality bar in terms of the people we recruit. So we can say that our recruitment has continued to work successfully, and this has been very important in supporting our wider plans. We are currently still based in one office here in Espoo, in capital area of Finland, but 47% of our people come outside of Finland, so we definitely are an international crew. We have been aiming to attract world-class talent. We'll continue to do that, and are happy to say that we can clearly do that. and considering a bit more the recruitment in the period, the first half of 2019, in order to attract 32 new people, we received 1,600 applications that were all processed and managed properly. So definitely during the last 2 years' time, we have been ramping up the recruitment, the personnel side in a new way, and we are really happy to say that it has worked well and continues to work well. In addition to the recruitment, we have had and continue to have a strong focus on our people. The special emphasis during 2019 has continued to be on developing our supervisor and leadership work. And a good example of all this is, for example, now we have had a special focus in giving and gathering relevant feedback in a way that we can improve the way how we work in our projects and as a company, but at the same time helping our people to develop professionally and so that they can affect their career paths within Remedy in a way that they like. We are continuously following our people's engagement to Remedy, to the projects they are working on, against a number of different criteria that affect people's motivation and engagement. And we can say that we are doing well and continue to improve all the time. Then when we look at the broader picture, where we come as a company, where we are at the moment, and where we are heading in the future, we set ourselves a growth-oriented strategy with 3 key strategic pillars in early 2017. And during 2017 and 2018, we have been building the basis and making investments to enable that future growth. A key focus of that strategy has been to expand the multiple projects in which in some projects we are working with our partner IPs like Crossfire by Smilegate, and in some projects, the IPs, the underlying brands are owned by Remedy. And now when we look back the past 2 years development, we can say that by early 2019, we had reached the key strategic targets we had had. We had been able to develop our capabilities to create high-quality, long-lasting games. We had successfully transformed into a multi-project organization, and we had taken a stronger position in the value chain by working at the same time with partner and our own game brands. And due to that, in early 2019, we started a new phase. So we introduced a new updated strategy which consisted now on 4 key strategic pillars that we will be following during the next 2 to 3 years' time. First of all, we will focus on creating longer-lasting games in engaging worlds. We will systematically pursue to have a strong business ownership of our games. We will continuously develop our organization for professionally managed game development, and we will definitely continue to empower and enable our teams and people to maximally use their talents to continue creating successful world-class games. We have definitely, when we look at ourselves now, developed a lot as a company. And while kicking off this new phase for the next 2 to 3 years' time, preparing for the growth that we have been aiming at all the time, we also extended our executive team during spring 2019. The new members in the executive team now include our HR Director Mikaela Öberg-Mattila, our Chief Commercial Officer Johannes Paloheimo, and our Chief Operating Officer Christopher Smits. These 3 people expand our executive team, which still continues to include also me, the CEO of the company, Terhi Kauppi, our CFO, Markus Mäki, our CTO, and Sami Järvi, our Creative Director. So that was the review of first half of 2019. Now Terhi will talk more on the financials.
Thank you, Tero. So let's go through the financial key figures a little more in detail. Our revenue grew by 50% in the first half of 2019, being 13.8 million euros, and that's 4.6 million euros more than in comparison period. Our revenue growth was positively affected by having 2 projects in full production mode and them having milestones achieved, and booking of 2.5 million euros one-time royalty revenue for earlier released games. On the other hand, no new game releases were during the first half of the year. Our EBIT was strong, 1.5 million euros and almost 11% of revenue. Our EBIT was positively affected by one-time royalty income booking as well as start of partial capitalization of product development expenses, with the effect of around 400,000 euros. On the other hand, we were still in investing phase, and our EBIT was burdened by scaling up headcount and outsourcing for 2 projects in production mode during this first half of the year. Our balance position was 30 million euros. Our balance sheet structure is still very simple and straightforward. We have no, for example, goodwill in the balance sheet. Our non-current assets were increased by product development expenses capitalization, and when comparing the amount of non-current assets at the end of the comparison period, we also booked during second half of 2018 office renovation and other tangible purchases to assets. Our cash position has remained strong, 21 million euros, and it increased by 3.8 million euros from year behind. Our cash flow for the first half of 2019 was negative by 2 million euros due to the fact that it included a dividend payment of 1.2 million euros and investments of around 900,000 euros. Our net cash was 18 million euros. There we deducted the 3 million technology loan from the cash position, and the amount of the technology loan has remained stable during the first half. Our gearing level, which means the level of net debt versus equity, and also our equity ratio, have remained strong. Then, when looking at the pattern more in a historical aspect, we can see that in the longer run there has always been a pattern in past when launching a game increased both revenue and EBIT percentage. In 2012 there was an Alan Wake American Nightmare and PC version released, and Quantum Break release in 2016, and they are seen as peaks. Now this year and the latter part of the year we are launching Control now in August, and actually we see already for the first half of this year very healthy development of revenue growth and EBIT margin level. As we aim for more steady launch of games, it creates also more steady basis for not only revenue growth but also for EBIT percentage level. Also, the capitalization, even if only partly done, evens out the EBIT percentage, since capitalized costs are depreciated when game starts to sell, and thus revenue and related expenses are more in timely sync. Then about a little bit more detailed EBIT analysis. So once again, our net sales was 13.8 million compared to 9.2 million euros in the comparison period. And the main factors contributing to the growth in revenue were the development fees of our 2 projects from their respective publishers. And also during this reporting period, we recognized the one-time income consisting of royalty payments from previously released games. Our staff expenses, which represent almost 70% of our total cost base, increased by 46%, and that's 2.6 million euros compared to the comparison period level. This was due to the still increased number of personnel. Our full-time equivalent in average increased by 34% from average of 158 people to 213 people. And like Tero said, by the end of June we had 220 people. Our operating costs, which represent about 19% of the total cost base, decreased by 100,000 euros. In our comparison periods, other operating expenses were one-off type expenses related to office move. Our board of directors made a decision to capitalize product development expenses partially starting from the beginning of this year. The decision concerned product development expenses for 2 projects, the third not yet an announced project and Project Vanguard. The company capitalized 445,000 euros of product development expenses during the reporting period. Product development expenses for other projects were not capitalized. And the company will from beginning of this year onwards capitalize product development expenses for all new game brand product development projects subject to Finnish accounting standards capitalization criteria. It's good to note that soon launching Control games development expenses were not capitalized at any point, and also that costs for Crossfire project, as that's work for hire type of project, were not capitalized and will not be capitalized. If the effect of the one-time royalty payment and the effect of capitalization of product development expenses is eliminated, the comparable operating profit for the period would be negative of 1.5 million euros compared to the negative of 400,000 euros in the comparison period. And now back to Tero for summary and outlook.
Thank you, Terhi. So, when we summarize the first half of 2019, we can say that the game projects, the 4 projects plus the Northlight that we have, they have proceeded according to our plans. And out of these projects, now Control is set to launch in 2 weeks' time on August 27th. In relation to the other big production that we have and the collaboration with Smilegate on Crossfire, during this period both Crossfire HD beta phase in China and Crossfire X coming to Xbox One in 2020 were announced, and our single player campaign will be included in both of them. The third, yet unannounced projects and Vanguard, they are still proceeding with smaller teams step by step, but according to the plans that we have. In 2017, we set ourselves a new strategy to build the company to be able to enable future growth. We have now successfully carried out related transformation and investments, and we have still remained profitable. In spring 2019, we now updated our strategy for the next phase of our development. For the outlook of 2019, we have been doing these developments during the past in order to be able to have more regular game launches. That has been one of the aims we have had, and now from 2019 onwards, we aim to launch at least one game or game expansion every year. For 2019, we do expect our revenue and EBIT to grow, and the majority of the revenue and profitability growth is estimated now to happen in this latter part of 2019.
Thank you, Tero. Let's go through some of the questions we have received. First, I have a question for Terhi. You mentioned that Remedy has started capitalizing development costs for new projects that are based on our own game IPs. Could you tell us why exactly?
Yes, as we are having more and more projects that are related to our own game brands, we realize that it's very important that we try to sync the timing of accruing the project costs, and then also the timing of recognizing the revenue related to those projects. Also, this is a very common practice within game industry, and by applying this capitalization even partially makes us more comparable with our peers. Also, it's good to note that we are still not applying IFRS, but we are making the capitalizations based on the Finnish accounting standards, and then there the capitalization is voluntary. And we decided to do it on a partial basis.
Sounds good. Then a question for Tero. Control is launching in 2 weeks' time. Could you elaborate a bit more how the game has been received so far?
Yes, the reception of Control has been very good. Control was, I would say, has been a very ambitious project when we consider that Remedy has from the past certain unique strengths in the world building, in the characters, in the stories, the atmosphere we create, and we wanted to stay loyal to that. And now Control clearly provides that for the players based on the critics' evaluation, the influencers, the players that have been able to play that. They are really interested on that part, but at the same time, we have all the time wanted to create a game that provides long-lasting game experiences where the gameplay plays much bigger role than in any of our previous games from the past. And now the gameplay has been receiving a lot of praise from the players. The powers that we provide for the players, the possibilities that the game provides gameplay-wise. And all these aspects kind of like put together, I think the reception has been really good. And of course, now the marketing has also kicked off in a bigger way. The game is now kind of like visible and accessible all the time for the wider and wider audience of critics and influencers. We have been happy to see that the enthusiasm seems to be growing. And one thing that's also good to bring into the viewers' attention, many of you may already know it and have noticed, but we set together with 505 the target launch date at the end of the summer period. And to us it seems now when we have been able to develop the game to be ready for the launch on August 27th as a high quality polished game, this has been a good decision, because when we are looking at the market, there are not that many big games yet coming out. But then when we look at the end of September, October, when the holiday season is starting to close, kind of like the Christmas market, we are already seeing that there is going to be a flood of big games. So we think that also the time window when we are coming out with Control, I say really high quality, interesting game, I think that window seems to be really good.
So exciting times here at Remedy and for the players as well. Now I would like to thank both Terhi and Tero for your presentation and for your brilliant answers. Also thank you to our viewers. Thanks for joining us and see you next time. Bye.
Have a good day.